Okay, y'all, so we are back, and today we got things you can't do in America but are okay in England. And this is American Living in England. The original link will be in the description. This is from the YouTube channel called The Hickens Diaries. And with that being said, was smoking on my dragons, divine, righteous, almighty, greats, overachieving, never slacking. Shout out to all my subscribers. Shout out to all my new people who haven't subscribed yet. Let's go and see this video. Let's get to it. Here we go.
Hey y'all, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about things you can't do in the US that are perfectly fine to do here in England. Now, just for clarification, for those of you who don't know, jaywalking is actually not crossing the street at the designated corners or designated crosswalks. So if you're in the middle of the block and you want to just cross over, even if the traffic's clear and it's perfectly safe, it's technically illegal in many places for you to
Definitely illegal, but people don't be caring.
make that cross. You have to go to the corner and use the crosswalk or cross at the corner. I've actually known people who've gotten ticketed for this in America. Yeah. It's so ridiculous. It's such a dumb law, in my opinion. Here in England, they don't have anything like that. Obviously, if you're in a crowded city like London, you should probably use the crosswalks if you can, just because there's a lot of traffic. There's lots of lanes and different lanes going at different times and things like that. And especially if you're a tourist, you're not familiar with the traffic patterns, it's a really good idea for you to stay in those lanes. But if you are, a Londoner, or you're familiar with the area that you're in and you know it's okay and you know it's safe, it should be fine that you just cross when you know it's safe and you feel comfortable. So that's one thing that I think England definitely does better. This is kind of subjective because in America, it's just that you don't really get a lot of holiday. But even when you do get, 2 weeks or even more, for some people who have been at places for a long time, it's really, really frowned upon to take more than 1 week at a time.
She's 100% accurate. They want you slaving out here.
I remember when one time when I was actually coming back to England, I wanted to take 2 weeks, and it was a huge, huge deal. I had to make sure I had plenty of cover. I had to make sure I had all my projects left up, almost as if I was being punished for taking more than 1 week at a time. You are very much work first, life second in America. That's just how the work culture is, and it's very frowned upon to even take time off and not check in or check your emails or things like that, especially if you're going to be gone for a long holiday. Here, they force people to take holidays. Taking 2 weeks because you're going overseas, or because you want to take 2 weeks because you have it, it's perfectly normal, it's perfectly valid, and it's perfectly accepted here in England. And yeah, that's a big, big plus. I love it. Of course, there's options to go to private school that you would pay for out of your pocket. For this segment, we're just going to talk about the public school comparison. In America, you have to go to that school that's in your district. You don't have any choices. If you want to go to a different school that is going to be a public school, then you have to change where you live. It's all tied to where you live. Here in England, it is somewhat tied to where you live. Like, you live in Kent County, you can't go to school in London, right? You have to go to school in Kent County. However, there's so many secondary and primary schools in Kent County that you can find the school that's right for your child, fits, your dynamics and your lifestyle within those parameters. And you have to actually apply for a spot in that school. So it's not guaranteed necessarily that you can go to that school. If for some reason you're in a position where you've applied a few times and none of the schools have spaces, then it's up to the county to find you a school that you can go to put your child in. But it is something that England does that I think is really, really cool. Here in England, you don't have to have anything. You just make the appointment and you go. Now, don't get me wrong. There are problems with the NHS, and there are some people that have trouble getting appointments, and there are reforms that can be done with the NHS system here. But they do have a hybrid system here, actually, where you can have private insurance, and it kind of works the way it is in America, where you pay for the insurance and then you might get a bill after the fact, depending on the coverage. And that's always an option for you. But if you can't afford that, then you always have the option of the NHS as well. not having to have money on me all the time when I get sick or when I go to the doctor or someone in my family goes to the doctor. It's amazing to me how much less stress you are under when you get sick. And it's just something that America does not have. In most cases, you don't have the option of going to just go to the doctor when you get sick. You have to have some kind of credit card with you to pay to get, sometimes you have to pay to even get for the appointment, to even see the doctor before you get any medications or tests or anything like that done. And you usually have a bill after the fact as well. 18. And of course, for me, in case you can't tell, I know it's really difficult, but I'm over 18. But I just think it's really, really weird. I've always thought it was really weird that the drinking age in America is 21 when you're considered an adult at 18. You can be tried in a murder trial or anything else when you're 18 years old. You can buy a gun when you're 18 years old. You can join the armed forces when you're 18 years old and go overseas to fight for your country, yet you can't have a drink.
Good point.
Here in England, in certain cases, you might be able to get away with drinking even younger, especially if you're in like a pub setting where your family has always gone to or something like that and they're familiar with you. They know who your family are. And if you get into trouble, they can make sure that they get you the help. They might serve you a little bit sooner. But being 18, you're an adult. You should make the choices. So being able to drink at 18 makes complete sense to me. Lastly, got totally schooled on this one. Never knew until I came here. Apparently, in America, there is some kind of law with the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration that oversees food safety, that you have to wash eggs before you sell them to a consumer. But what this does is it actually washes away a protective coating around the egg that's natural from allow it to be sitting out on the counter and keep it protected from the elements outside. In America, you have to refrigerate it when you buy it, because if you don't, you will get sick because that protective coating has been washed away according to the FDA's regulations. I was always refrigerating my eggs. I couldn't even find the eggs in the store when I first got here. It took me 2 or 3 trips to the store and a conversation with someone who had actually walked me to where the eggs were to even realize that the eggs just weren't in the refrigerated section. And I did refrigerate them for a really long time, and I got yelled at by so many people saying that that's actually really bad for your eggs here. So now I don't have to refrigerate my eggs. I don't know if it makes them taste better or not, but it's definitely more convenient having it right next to the stove when I'm cooking my eggs, considering I eat eggs almost every day. Obviously, if you leave it out for, months and months and months, that's not good for it. But you can leave it out for a decent period of time and still be able to use it. But that's something you can't do in America at all, which is really seems kind of backwards, actually. So there you guys have it. Things that you can't do in the US but are perfectly fine to do here in the UK. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like and make sure you share it if there's someone else that you think might enjoy it, and consider being a subscriber if you would like to see more content like this. If not, no worries. I totally understand, but I appreciate the view and I hope I can see you in a future video. Bye.
So my favorite thing, hands down, was the vacation. I feel like vacations are just needed. People do tend to work so much in America; it's ridiculous, and it is frowned upon when they need a break. So hearing that was definitely my favorite. I don't drink, so that doesn't apply to me. But at the same time, she had some good points, and it definitely made sense. You're 18, you're able to go to war for your country and do all these things. So she made a lot of sense for sure. Definitely like this video. UK seems a lot more relaxed, especially with laws. But with that being said, let me know what you think about this video. Original link will be in the description. And I'll be back with more soon. Much love, yeah.